Welcome to the Queen Conversations podcast, the official podcast of United Queendom. I'm Teddi Rene, the career champion and founder of United Queendom. I used to wait and let life happen to me and was lost with no real career goals. Like so many other women, I was just happy to have a job at all. I never negotiated my salary or even knew that I could, even though I struggled as a single mother to take care of my kids and to run my small business. But one day I had enough and I quit my job. Little did I know, this experience would give me the confidence and tools I needed to take control of my career and my life. I went from depending on food stamps to feed my family to making more than 6 figures in less than 2 years. And now I'm helping other women do it too. So join me every episode as me and my guests invite you on our journey and give you tips, tools, and guidance to take control of your life and live it the way that you decide. Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another episode of the Queen Conversations podcast. I'm really excited for this interview today. If you guys follow me on Instagram or listen to anything I ever say, then you will have heard her name plenty of times. I reference her podcast often. I talk about her company, her VC fund, and lately I have been talking about her book. But I'm going to let her go ahead and introduce herself and tell us how she is building a better tomorrow.
Thanks for having me. I'm Arlan Hamilton. I am the founder and managing partner of Backstage Capital. It's an investment fund that invests in the most exciting, underrepresented, underestimated founders in the country. We have invested in more than 100 of those companies led by women, people of color, and LGBTQ folks. And I guess I'm building a better tomorrow by practicing what I preach, executing on this thesis of if so many underrepresented people have done so much with so little for so long, imagine what they'll do with more.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So before we really get into this, because you have a book coming out, so I want to talk about the book. I do want to just check in with you with everything that's changing in the world and everyone dealing with COVID-19 and collective isolation and business changes and things. Like, how are you doing? How are you managing this? And what are some things that you're doing to occupy your time?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. There were some shaky days in March where I had to, unfortunately, lay off a couple of really close people on our team, and things we lost, 6 figures, and I lost 6 figures personally, and then the company lost even more, just within a 72-hour period. So it was really rough for a few days, and I thrive on being able to have purpose and really getting creative. Basically, everything that I say in my book and that I say to people when I preach to people, it's very true to me. It's very authentic. And so when all this happened, I just had to center myself and find what would be my purpose and what would keep me going and maintaining. And that has turned out to be providing information to people. We kind of, my fund and I, our team, we just got together and said, okay, how can we get as much information out to people, as many people as possible, so that they can feel a little bit more well-equipped to handle what's going on. So we started working with people and getting webinars and audio and all kinds of things, and writing things about IDLE and PPP and all of those things, and then working with our portfolio, of course, behind the scenes on their companies. So I've been active. I've been working on that and working on this book coming out, which I'm so excited about.
Nice. So yeah, I noticed that because of all of this, you had to do some pivots for your book tour, and Backstage was going on a tour and all of these things. I do see that you have a new course launching as well. Was that a part of the pivot, or was that something that you already had in the works?
Oh, no, I didn't have it in the works already. And it was something I just like, I started the online course, the academy. I started like, I was always watched other people's courses, and I definitely am a big believer in investing in yourself. So I invest in myself quite often, where I just always want to have the next book, or I want to have listen to the next podcast, or, you know, take the course that's very interesting to me. And with us all being home, or a lot of us being home, and grateful to the people who make that possible, the workers who do. With so many people being home, I found myself watching every webinar known to man. You know, I was watching everything because I needed information. I needed as much as I gave out. I needed to feel like I was getting it. So I said, you know, I had been working for months on this plan. 2020 was going to be 6 months of a book tour, like on the road for 6 months straight. It was going to be a 12-city tour for Backstage, where we were going to do all sorts of things. And we've been working on this for so long. And this is my first book, and you have to do a lot of work to make a book work. And I just said, again, like after I had my mourning period of this is not what I expected, I had to pull myself back up. And I said, you know, I have all this information in my head. I have seen more than 6,000 companies. I've seen thousands of pitches. I've invested in more than 100 companies. All of this within 5 years. I've worked with and talked with hundreds of millionaires and billionaires. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of information I have on how someone can raise capital or earn capital for their company. Absolutely. Just sitting in my dome. So I said, let me teach myself how to make a course. So I taught myself lighting and the audio part, and I taught myself how to make slides, and I put together all this stuff and put together a course, and people are really just launched it, you know, and people are already saying that it's been incredibly valuable to them.
I love it. I love it. And I love how now, unfortunately, like COVID-19 and everything that's happening it's unfortunate. It's not anything that I would wish on anyone, but I do love how people are finding success in this time and doing things that are a little out of the box for them, learning new skills, and then applying what they already knew to kind of make a way and adjust for, I guess, this new world that we're leading into now. Like, that's a really good thing to see. Hey, it's Teddi, and I need a favor. So for 2020 as a decade, my word, the overall theme is visibility, and I need your help to do that. If you would be so kind as to leave a genuine review of the Queen Conversations podcast on Apple Podcasts, then I will send you a free Queen Conversations podcast t-shirt from Paraphernalia University. To claim your free t-shirt, simply send a screenshot of your review with your size, your name, and shipping address to freetee@teddyrene.com. That's freetee@teddyrene.com. So just to recap, send a screenshot of your Apple Podcast review for the Queen Conversations podcast and get a free t-shirt from Paraphernalia University. Thank you so much for your help and your support. About your book, right? It comes out May 5th. I pre-ordered mine, like probably I think it was around your birthday where you actually spoke about the book being released everything.
Thank you. That's October. I appreciate that.
So I'm waiting for my hard copy, but you guys were nice enough to send a copy for the book launch team, which of course I was like, oh, I get to read it like first. Great. I want it. Like, I mean, yes. And it's a really good book. Like, I love it. I'm on my second full read of it. Okay. I did kind of skim and scan through some things the first time. It was like, okay, so I'm not going to read this out of order because I kind of do that sometimes. Yes. But I did want to, like, there were a lot of really good parts in it, and it just made me just like love you more and everything that you're doing, because it's very genuine and very real, and it's like you are like the women that I saw growing up. Like, we were not always considered to be the smartest or the most important, but like there's a part in here where you're talking about being in school and being treated a certain way because you're asking questions. And I'm like, oh, that's me. Like 100%. Like I was always the bad kid because I questioned things. It wasn't that I was being defiant. I just wanted to know, why is it this way? Why is this the reason? Or, is there another way? And I just really appreciate that information in this book, because when you're in it, it's just you. Like everyone else around you is doing so much better than you. And then just to see like, okay, so it wasn't just me. Like this is something that's happening to hundreds and millions of girls who look like me. And I just really, really appreciate that.
Yeah. I'm glad that you picked up on that because that so many of us, Black women or women of color or tall women or big women, all of that, we are just considered more aggressive, quote unquote, as a young child, and more sexually advanced, even if we've never even kissed anyone, or more world, just able to fend for ourselves. Yeah. Just because that is a bias that people have. So we are often left to our own devices. All of that. And I didn't, like you say, you don't know it when you're in it. You don't know that it's going on with other people. But man, once I started hearing from other people, so I hope that part of the book helps a lot of people heal.
And I believe that it will, because even like it kind of goes into even when you're talking about like romantic relationships, or, you're navigating just building relationships and being perceived as, oh, she got it, she can do it, she's strong enough, she's old enough, she's wise enough, or she's done harder things. It's like, yeah, I may be able to do it, but I still would like the support and the encouragement and the love and all of that, the girly gushy stuff. Like a lot of people find it hard to believe, because I was the tall girl and the heavier set girl, and my hair wasn't always as straight or always done like everyone else. But it's like, I like flowers and I like, romantic dates. And when people say like, they're like, really? Like, I would never peg you as like a flower chick. And I'm like, why? Like, yes. Why? I'm sensitive. I love cuddles. Like,
yes. That's deep. I mean, you're tapping into something. And what it reminded me of is like, not only will we be able to like relate to each other when we read this, but think about how we can treat our daughters.
Absolutely.
Because knowing, we may think they have it figured out. Mm-hmm. That's cool.
And that is a big part of it. So like, I'm the one in my family who, when my grandma or my dad tries to like correct my kids or say things to them, like I have to correct the adults, because I am raising my children in a very different way. I have a 6-year-old brown skinned little girl who has this big head of natural hair and this huge like energy. So I'm always asking or answering questions for her. And I'm like, that wasn't always a privilege that I had as a kid. So like my kids are able to question things. They're allowed to inquire as to the reason or the purpose behind things without being perceived as, you're being disrespectful or you're doing something wrong. There are some times though where I have to say, hey, you're crossing the line, or check your tone. Sure. But, just having that freedom, I hope will help them to be better people and to work through problems in life a lot differently than I was able to. But like, even like to that point though, in the book, you're talking about like being authentic and how important it is. And because of that story and my experience, like growing into working in the corporate space and all the things that I'm doing as an adult, it's easier for me to speak up when I feel like someone is trying to minimize or diminish my presence or my work. But that's not the case for everyone. So for those other women out there who may not have yet reached that point of being comfortable with being themselves everywhere, what kind of advice or would you be able to share with them, or any type of encouragement?
Yeah, I definitely am a big proponent of being authentically yourself. I know it's not always easy or even possible in certain situations, because sometimes you're talking about the difference between a safety issue, if you're talking LGBTQ, for instance, or you're talking about maybe feeling like you're just not going to get that job, or you're not going to maintain that job if you don't play a certain role. But as much as you are able to, and as much as you are able to start thinking in those terms, I would encourage it, because I have often been told that I need to be somebody else or something else, that I was too much or too little. And by following my instincts, I have had the most success possible that I think I could have had. So for instance, a few years ago when I was first starting out with Backstage, and I had been had housing insecurity and was on food stamps and all sorts of things leading up to that. And then I got investment, and I was on a business trip in New York trying to raise from another investor, and it was a Black woman this time. And I was so excited. I was so excited to meet her because I didn't have many Black women investing in me at the time. Mm-hmm. And we go in, and I flew from Los Angeles to go to this meeting. And I had, maybe a year previously been sleeping on the floor of an airport. That's how bad it was. And instead of listening to the fact that I got myself from that to investing in 6 to 10 companies at that time and had made my way there, she said to me, "You need to start dressing better or you're never going to be taken seriously." Mm-hmm. And it really hurt my feelings, and it also just threw me for a loop. I was like, of all the things to pull from, that's what you're going to go to. Now, I completely understand, I really do, that she's a little bit older than I am, and she was projecting. She was saying what someone had probably told her and what she believed was the truth. But I left that meeting and I walked around a little bit in the streets of New York, and I thought to myself, now, should I go and try to dress more professionally or what? Because I dress like in jeans, t-shirt, hoodie. That's just my vibe. So about 5 minutes into that into that walk, I said, no, there's no way. I got other things to worry about. About 2 weeks later, Mark Andreessen, who is a guy who is a billionaire and who has one of the most famous venture capital funds and who also invented the web browser, invested in me. And he didn't care if I was wearing a hoodie or whatever. What he cared about was what I had to say and what I was doing. And so if I had changed that, if I had said, let me spend the next 2 weeks worrying about my clothing, I may have missed him and he may have missed me. Mm-hmm. Because he found me by something I wrote online. And if I was too busy worried about her, like what she thought of me, this person who has nothing to do with really my life, which we always tend to do. We always think about the people, let the people who mean the least to us affect us the most sometimes. Mm-hmm. If I had really stayed in that headspace for any longer than 5 minutes, then I wouldn't have gotten that. And that investment helped me get another investment and then another one. So I definitely say, as much as you can, I'm not going to say and pretend that it's always easy to do so, but as much as you can, start thinking in that direction of where can I, Journey Smollett said it on my podcast. She said, she thinks every day, she looks back on the day and she says, where in this day did I shrink myself for somebody else? And how can I not do that tomorrow? And that's a word.
Absolutely. And that was a really good episode. And just a side note, me and my kids have watched Birds of Prey probably about 5 times now. It's a really good movie.
All right. Yeah. Shout out to Journey.
It's so good. But yeah, and that's real. That's very real. It's I think about how my Black male friends, even who are in the IT space, they make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year and they go to work in jeans and t-shirt, or mm-hmm. jeans and a hoodie. And mm-hmm. it's no one ever tells them, you need to dress more appropriate. It's well, are you getting the work done? Are you, achieving the mission? Cool, great. But if I come into work with jeans, it might be an issue just because I'm a woman. But yeah. And it's something that I know that a lot of people do struggle with. Fortunately for me, I don't, because I'm just one of those people who it's if this is the culture here, then it's the culture for all of us, not just the culture for mm-hmm. that section of mm-hmm. this company. So I think that it's a really very important point in the book. And that's a really good part. That whole part in the book about authenticity, I'm just yes, 100%. Everyone needs to get this book. Literally.
I hope they do. I hope you do. I hope they go to itsaboutdamntime.com. Itsaboutdamntime.com. How to turn being underestimated into your greatest advantage. I hope you pick it up as a hard copy or as an audio. I recorded the audio for it, which I'm so excited about, or as an ebook. And, I hope that it just brings you inspiration and joy. It gives you some tactical advice that you can use right away. That's what I wish for it.
Absolutely. So I was looking at Minda Hart's live on IG yesterday, actually, and she plugged the book, and she was like, the first 10 people who email me, I'm going to buy you a copy of Arlan's book. Yep. And I said, you know what? I'll match that. And then I looked at my bank account and I said, okay, well, maybe I'll do 5. So, yes. So the first 5 people who email me at podcast@unitedqueendom.com, I will buy a copy of the book, ebook, whichever version of Arlan's book, and send it your way as well. Because I think it's very important that more people read this book. It's a really good book. I'm not just saying that because I love books, but it's a really, really good book.
I appreciate you so much. I love that contest.
I love it. So the first 5 people email me. I'll do a little commercial break in this episode too, so you guys can get the details, but it's a good book.
Hey guys, it's me, Teddi Rene, and I wanted to give you details on how you could win a free copy of Arlan's new book, It's About Damn Time. Simply send me an email to podcast@unitedqueendom.com with the subject line, It's About Damn Time. In the email, please include your name, your shipping address, and whether you would like a hard copy of the book or a Kindle or audiobook version of the book. And the first 5 people, the first 5 listeners, the first 5 fans who do this will get a free copy of the book. It's really that simple. So once again, email me, subject line, It's About Damn Time, with your shipping information and your preferred book type, and I'll send you a copy. Be one of the first 5 people to do this, and the book is yours. It'saboutdamntime.com is where you can go to order Arlan's new book, out now, guys. We got to show her support. All right. Bye.
I mean, it is just like you're listening to Your First Million is how I discovered Minda's book, The Memo.
Yes.
Another great book.
Yes. That's full circle. I love it.
It's so great book. Amazing book. But talking about your book, right? So a lot of the parts of like your story that I most resonate with are like your relationship, like with your mom, right? So there's a part in this book where you were talking about your experiences as a child and growing up and moving so much, and how your mom inspired you and helped you to be resilient, right? So my question for you, now that you've found this success, right? Have you found it to be difficult, or what has been like the most challenging part of transitioning from kind of like survival mode to like thriving in like your successes and finances and, you know, home security and all of those different aspects?
Well, thankfully, I don't have any sort of survivor's remorse that I think people have asked me about. I feel very much so that I spent the first 35 years of my life working towards this, and that as much as I preach to other people that they deserve good things, I deserve good things. So I've earned it and worked towards it. So thankfully, I don't have that to work on. But what I do have is, I feel there's a lot on my shoulders that I've always felt that, you know, I've always been the go-to person, no matter what my bank account looked like. And now that things are different, I think that I think it's a combination of people actually asking me for much more, a lot more people asking me for things, and also my own perceived like savior complex, whatever you want to call it, that I have to fix everything for everybody when it comes to my family, my close friends and everything. Mm-hmm. So I've definitely put a lot on my plate that I have slowly started taking off and really realizing exactly what is my role and what is my responsibility and what is not. And sometimes that is, again, it's like a mixture. There's a blurred area there of people asking for more because they see you have it, but then also not having the boundaries of pushing back on that. So that's like a work in progress, but I think I'm doing a much better job than I was doing maybe even 2 years ago.
I love it. Boundaries is something that I think a lot of us struggle with, especially when it comes to family, because we feel like somewhat like obligated to helping people who we were born into like a network or a relationship with. So I'm super happy to hear that, though, that you are getting better with that, because it's very hard. I struggle with boundaries. I watched my mom struggle, not even try to resist boundaries, and it cost her all of her life's hard work and everything. So, yeah, but I do really appreciate you taking the time and everything to speak with us today. Is there any other information or anything you'd like to share before we go? I know we are pushing this book. We're going to all go out and buy It's About Damn Time, right?
Yeah.
It's aboutdamntime.com. And when you say it, you got to give like an eye roll and a neck roll and all
kinds of rolls. Yes. I hope that you check out the book. I also, for anybody who is trying to raise money or thinking about their next company, if you want to join me at the Academy, go to itsaboutdamntime.com. Look for Arlan's Academy in the menu, and then I'm going to give you a discount code right now. I'm going to give you a discount code. The discount code is Your First Million. Your First Million. YOUR. First Million will get you a deep, deep discount on the course, because I want you to check it out.
Nice. Well, thank you again, Arlan, for taking the time, for sharing your story, and for everything that you're doing for underrepresented founders, men, women, and those in the LGBTQ community. We truly appreciate and support everything that you are doing. So
thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate what you are doing.
Well, thank you. And we're going to wrap up on that note. Thanks, Arlan.
Okay. All right. Bye.
To order your copy of Arlan's new book, It's About Damn Time, visit www.itsaboutdamntime.com. The book is available on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, and all of your favorite bookstores. For more information on Arlan, Backstage Capital, and the podcast Your First Million, you can follow Arlan on Instagram at Arlan Was Here, on Twitter at Arlan Was Here, or on Facebook at Arlan Was Here.